Hi, and welcome to Makeup Mugwump. My name is Leanne. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Palette Parade. This is where I talk about all the eyeshadow palettes that I used for the last week or 2 weeks because I didn't film one last week. Here's 2 weeks worth of makeup looks. I also was absolute trash at taking pictures. So some of these won't have pictures, and I'm sorry for it. Will I get better at that? Probably not. I'm trying. Okay, let's talk about the eyeshadow palettes and whether or not I'm going to keep them. This is the NYX Ultimate Edit Petite palette in the brights. Ooh, as I literally dig my finger into it. This is cute. This is like a little drugstore palette of some bright shades. My husband got this for me. So it's sentimental, so I'm definitely keeping it. But it also works. This is a good one for if you are like, I'm going to say this. If you travel. I used to travel for my job all the time. So some of the things that I keep are for that in case I go back to that, but also that I know folks do travel. This is a great one for if you want some color, like especially if you do pops of color, maybe on the lower lash line, or you use it as liner, eyeshadow as liner. This is a great one. It's super small, super inexpensive, and it's great. So keeping that like that. This is one I'm not keeping that I thought that I would. It's been banged up a little bit. This is the Makeup Revolution Forever Dynamic Serenity Palette. And I thought it would be beautiful for travel. It's just meh. It's just meh. That's a glitter on the end. It's just meh. I'm going to let that one go. I didn't love it. This one I do love, and I will keep it forever. This was my first Natasha Denona palette. This is the Cranberry palette. And it is stunning. And I actually cheated for the first time this year. And I used this shade with, I think, no, I know which one I use it with. I used this shade with another one. So I used this palette technically twice. This shade I used on the lid, but then I did another look with the berries, and this is just gorgeous. I love it so much. This is the palette that I used that shade with. This is the Nudes by Juvia's. Y'all, this is very, 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 very light. Very light. It's Fair Girl friendly, but even on a Fair Girl, it's light. So this time around, I used the Mustard, I believe, and it's gorgeous. It's so pretty, but it's super light. So this one I'm keeping because it works for me, but even for me, it's light. So there's that. This was a new one that I got in my Boxy charm. This is the Viseart Petite Pro De, and she is teeny, teeny, teeny tiny. She is so tiny, y'all. My friend Kim was like, it's teeny tiny. It works. Viseart has beautiful shades. It's beautiful. It's just the tiniest little thing I've ever seen in my life, but it's adorable. Keeping that. This one is another one that was a sleeper. I got this for my Full Face of Dollar General eyes, and this one threw me off. I thought that this top row would be more neutral because I thought that the neon, acrylic packaging was throwing it off. They're still peachy. The top row is still peachy. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette of shades that work. This is the LA Colors Peach Fizz. I picked it up at Dollar General, and I would be happy to use any of those again. One of my favorite palettes of all time. And that's saying a lot because it's a recent palette. This is the Star Wars Mandalorian palette from ColourPop. Y'all, I have used, I saved it to use it on a day I wanted to use it. I love this so much. This time that I've used it several times last year when I got it. I also did a giveaway for it on my channel like when it first came out. And it was so fun. My sister, I've done my older sister's makeup, and she wanted greens. This was the palette I used on her. But this time around, I just used one shade all over my lid. Matte look. It was gorgeous. I adore this palette. I love it so much. It's great. The palette I'm wearing today is the Pixie by Petra Eye Reflection Shadow Palette in Natural Beauty. And I got this on sale at Ulta because I wanted to try it. And it's gorgeous, y'all. It's just beautiful as it can be. And it's a wonderful natural looking palette. It goes from light to dark. I think it's great. Highly recommend that. Keeping that. OPV Beauty Spotlight Eyeshadow Palette. Y'all, this... Okay, so color-wise, it looks like it's a bit all over the place. I think this is like almost a kind of a pseudo dupe. Not really, not a shade for shade, but the color story reminds me of the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I have that palette. This is dark for me. It is a dark palette, but it's beautiful. I would like to, I did an orangey eye with this. I would like to use the blues. I don't think I'm going to get rid of this one. Typically BoxyCharm palettes are about 50-50 for whether or not I want to keep them. This one I'm going to keep. I want to use it again. The shades did beautifully. It's a nice little palette. Happy to have that. Another BoxyCharm palette, which I am also keeping, is the Dominique Cosmetics Transition palette. Y'all, this is an all matte palette that is like pretty great. I was not expecting to also enjoy this. I did use, I think a ColourPop shadow or something. I can't remember. I did something. Oh, I know. I used Steal a Kitten on the lid. Sorry, it's been a hot 2 weeks. But this was like a, not like, it is an all matte palette. It goes from light to dark. I think it does a great job of doing something like my Viseart matte neutral mattes palette. Same principle, where you've got some light tones, some medium tones, and some deeper tones to do what you need it to do. This stays on my vanity to use with any palette that I need. This is the same type of palette. I think it's great. It performed great. I love it. This is perfect. It's also quite heavy. Got a nice mirror, but it's a heavier palette, so it's kind of substantial. This is nice. I'm happy with that too. So only one palette am I going to pass along, and that's that Makeup Revolution Serenity palette, because it didn't wow me, and I don't love it. Everything else, pretty good. So y'all stay tuned for next week's palette parade. I use a different palette every single day this year, and then tell you whether or not I'm keeping the eyeshadow palette. Thanks so much for joining me. I love this series. It's one of my favorites. I hope it's one of yours. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you liked me, hit subscribe. Let's hang out together. Bye, y'all.